Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jag, and in today's class we're going to go through the very important topic of the quadratic formula. Now you're probably wondering why I wrote Math 10/11. The reason for this is the first time you encounter the quadratic formula is going to be in grade 10 math, and then also in grade 11 math we're going to encounter the quadratic formula again. Okay, so what we should make sure we do is memorize the quadratic formula as it is applied all the time. Okay, with that I'm going to write down the quadratic formula on the board. Okay, so it's going to be x equals negative b, okay, plus or minus square root of b squared, okay, minus 4ac, and the whole thing is divided by 2a. Okay, and again, so make sure you're actually dividing the whole numerator by 2a. Okay, I can't write 2a just on one side or under the square root sign because that's going to make it wrong. Okay, so with that, let's get started. We're going to go into the textbook and try just a couple of these examples. All right, so I'm going to just take this off so we have more room. Okay, and let's write example. So let's try this one here. So 2x squared plus 9x plus 6, okay, equals to 0. All right, so I'm just going to make sure the signs are correct. And if you're not sure when to apply the quadratic formula, it's usually when I cannot factor it, okay? As well as when you see decimals in the quadratic equation here, I won't be able to factor these decimals. I have to put it into the formula, okay? And also if you don't want to waste your time factoring the quadratic formula and then coming up with the x-intercepts and changing the signs, okay, I could just put it directly into the formula and it gives me the x-intercepts right away. I don't even have to change the signs here. All right, so with that, let's get started. Let's try this example. So here, I'm going to write down each of the values. The value for A is 2, okay, which is the first number. The value for B is going to be 9, which is the one in front of the x, okay? And the value for C is going to be 6. And you notice that they are all positive, okay? Make sure you're taking the sign in front of the number when you're writing down the A, B, C values, okay? I don't actually have to do this as a specific step. I'm just doing it right now so we can all see as we are plugging it into the equation. Okay, make sure you have your calculator handy because we're going to just put it into our calculator. Okay, so with that, x equals, okay, now in the formula, it's negative b, okay, so it's not just going to be positive 9, I'm going to put negative 9, okay, plus or minus, and then make the square root sign, okay, it's b squared, so I'm going to put 9 squared minus 4, it's 4ac, so 4 times a, which is 2, and c here, which is 6, okay? And you notice that I'm actually putting everything inside the brackets, okay? Just so I don't mess up any of the signs, okay? As well as the numbers. And the whole thing is over 2a, so it's going to be 2 times 2, okay? So just like this. All right, I'm going to do actually just one more step here, okay? And this is just to show everyone the answer, okay? So we're going to do 9 squared, which is 81, okay? When you do 4ac, I'm basically doing 4 times 2 times 6, which is 48. And the whole thing is going to be divided by 4, all right? So let's write it going across here, okay? So what you're doing is under the square root sign, I'm just going to do the 81 minus 48, okay? So we're going to do negative 9 plus or minus square root of 33 divided by 4. Okay, so everyone can see that. All right, so this step is actually really important. Okay, I'm going to make 2 arrows going down like this. Okay, and there are going to be 2 answers. Okay, so the first time I'm going to do, just use your calculator here. I'm doing negative 9 plus square root of 33, and I'm making sure I press the equal sign in between. Okay, and then divided by 4. Okay, so I'm getting x equals negative 0.81. All right, and the second time I'm going to take negative 9 minus the square root of 33, okay, and I'm going to divide this by 4, okay, and I'm getting x equals negative 3.69. Okay, so I'm actually just rounding each of these to 2 decimals. Okay, depends again on your teacher. These are actually the x-intercepts. Okay, if you're doing like word problems as in application problems, usually one value for x will be positive, one will be negative, and I discard the negative answer, okay, depending on what the word problem is asking you for, and I'm only going to use the positive value. All right, and in this case it actually does not matter. Okay, even if both of the values for x are negative. Okay, in this case you're most likely just using the x-intercepts to graph, okay, the quadratic function, and just to see basically what the graph is. Okay, and again, using the x-intercepts, I can always find the vertex, both the vx and the vy points of the vertex. And again, if you're not sure how to do that, you can check out one of the previous videos, and it covered basically how to graph the quadratic equations using the vertex and the x-intercepts. All right, so does everyone see how to do that? Okay, so with that, let's try one more example here. Okay, so I'm going to take this off. And this is actually a very, almost the same kind of concept, okay? There's just a slight variation, okay, in this question. So I'm going to copy it down from the textbook. Okay, so we have 4x squared minus 12x, all right? And this time is going to be equal to -9. All right, so before I start, I have to make sure I do one step in between here. I'm going to take the -9 back to the left side of the equation. Make sure you are changing the sign here, okay? So it's going to be 4x squared minus 12x, okay, and plus 9 equal to 0. Okay, so now I have my quadratic equation. So whenever you apply the quadratic formula, you should actually just make sure the quadratic function is in the standard form, okay, which it is here. Some of the rules for the standard form is that whatever number is in front of the x squared, it has to be positive, and the whole equation has to equal to 0. Okay, so this is the standard form. Let's write the values for a, b, and c. Okay, so in this case, a is 4, and b, as you can see, is -12. Okay, it's not positive here, so I'm going to put -12. Okay, and c is equal to +9. All right, with that, let's plug it into the quadratic equation. All right, again, make sure you're watching the sign, okay? In the quadratic formula, the first part is -b. Here, my b value is -12, so the two negatives cancel out. It's going to become +12, okay, plus or minus, and we'll put the square root sign, so 12 squared minus 4 times a, which is 4, okay, and times c, which is 9. And the whole thing is going to be over 2a, or 2 times 4. Okay? So let's put one step here. Okay? And so you can actually, again, once you get really good at using the quadratic formula, which you will, okay, with a lot of practice, I can skip some of the steps in between here. Okay? So I'm going to write just one step here. Okay? So let's do what's underneath the quadratic, underneath the square root sign here. So 144 minus, we're going to do 4 times 4 times 9, which is also 144, divided by 2 times 4, which is equal to 8. All right. So you can see underneath the square root sign, okay, I have 0. So what I'm actually left with here is going to be 12 over 8. Okay, I don't need to keep this as a fraction. I'm just going to divide it on my calculator. Okay, and my x value is going to equal to 1.5. Okay, now I notice that the value for x here is positive. Okay, so this could most likely be an application question. If you actually graph out, okay, this quadratic equation, you'll basically end up with only one real root, okay, which is 1.5. Okay, so it's not that there are no real roots, and the only time there are no real roots is if I get actually a negative number underneath the square root sign. All right, and again, remember this was part of the discriminant. Again, if you're not sure how to solve using the discriminant, check out one of my previous videos, and it just tells you the number of roots that you have, and it doesn't tell you the exact value, okay, of the x-intercepts. All right. So this video basically covered the quadratic formula and how to apply it to various quadratic equations that are in the standard form. I hope everyone learned how to apply the quadratic formula because this is a very important concept. And so again, if you did learn something, make sure you're clicking on the like button below and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see everyone in the next video. Thanks, bye.